आएंगे या ये वाला?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Simbaleen Zehra, your host for today, representing our inspiring institution, KAZschool. Most of you would have heard about it, but if not, please feel free to explore our YouTube channel. We've gathered today to discuss a very important topic for the youth of our community. With the help of our kind panelists, we will be addressing generation gap from the perspective of parents, children, experts, and religious scholars. They will discuss the issues around the topic and will give their valuable feedback about how generation gap can be managed by both the parents and the children. So, when talking about generation gap, we need to take into account the importance of understanding the perspectives of the two parties, that is, the parents and the children. If you look at this slide number 2, yes. So if you look at this slide, it shows the difference between the parents' views and the difference between the children's view. None of them is wrong, but each of them look at the same thing with their own unique way of looking at it, with their own unique lens. For better understanding, before moving on, let's take an introduction from all of our guests today, starting from Tuba.
Fun, and I am 14 years old, and I go to school.
All right, thank you. Rahima?
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rahima Rizai, and I'm a mother of 4. I've got a teenager, a 10 years old one, a 4.5, and a 2.5 years old. I'm working as a community hub leader at Dandenong, and that's me.
Thank you. Tahira?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tahira Hassan. I am a certified coach and a counselor and an accredited mental health first aider and a learning and development professional in the human resources field. Pleased to be here today.
Thank you. Khanum?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Khanum Amber Zehra. I'm an Islamic scholar, motivational speaker, and a social worker, and have been serving the community now for more than 20 years.
Thank you, Khanum. Like I was discussing with you guys, the importance of understanding perspectives. Let's look at this slide. I hope you all can see this picture. What do you see? Tuba, what do you see in this picture?
At first glance, I see a young lady with her face tilted to the other side with a hat and a fluffy coat. Yeah.
All right. Rahima, how do you look at this picture? What do you see?
I can see a young lady as well with a fluffy jacket and her face on the other side.
All right. Tahira, how do you look at this picture?
Disgruntled old lady with an enormous nose, and she looks really wretched and unhappy.
All right. Khanum, what do you see in this picture?
Well, I see a young girl looking sideways, wearing a fur coat with long feathered hat.
All right. So, see, this is one picture, but each of you look at it in a different way. And this is when we talk about perspective. So, it's the same thing, but all of us view it with our own unique way of looking at it. Let's set an agenda for today. Like we've already had the introductions and we've already welcomed you. We'll do a Q&A session and then a summary, and then we'll conclude the discussion for today. So, thank you all again. Moving on to understanding the generation gap. So, what is generation gap? Generation gap literally means the divide, the factors that lead to divide between two generations. Now, I would like to ask each of you what generation gap means to you. Tuba, I'll start with you.
So, from my perspective, I wouldn't really characterize a generation gap as a positive thing or a negative thing, but I see it more as a difference of opinion between generations, usually regarding beliefs and values. And so, typically between the younger people of today and the older generations.
All right, thank you. Rahima, how do you see generation gap? What it means to you?
So as a parent, I can see the generation gap as difference between the opinions and ideas of two groups of young and old people.
Okay, thank you. We're joined by Shaima, who's also representing the parents group. Shaima, are you here with us? I think there's a network problem. Anyways, Khanum, how do you see generation gap? Khanum, I think your mic is unmute.
Yeah, sorry for that.
No worries.
Well, I was saying the dictionary definition of generation gap is the difference between attitudes because of the belongingness to different generations. But when we try to dig down and we try to see the difference, then we see the difference in the attitudes because of two major reasons. Firstly, it's because of the different era we are living, and the new generation, they belong to the different era. So this belongingness to different time frame and different age, it brings the generation gap. This is the one difference. And another difference is the difference in the morals, difference in the beliefs, the values of two generations. And this gap is a profound one, and this is the gap which really matters. So these are the two forms of generation gaps.
Thank you, Khanum. Tahira, what is generation gap to you?
So my view is not supremely different to what Rahima and Khanum said, and a little bit of what Tuba touched upon as well. So just summarizing that and adding my own bit to it, it's mainly contradictory viewpoints, and they could be on a number of aspects because of the generation divide, lifestyle choices or moral values, religious views. It could be general life experiences and opinions that each of the two generations have. And over time, if you look at research that's happened, both Gallup and um, Pew Research polls, they talk about an increasing chasm between the two generations. So it's not, the gulf isn't decreasing as such, and there's no escaping the generation gap either. So it's possibly a little bit of a clash of egos as well in some way, and mindsets, because of the lived experience of the two generations that they have.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the explanations. Now, I would like to ask Rahima this question: that how do they look at the youth of today, and how do they describe the characteristics of the youth today?
So, as a matter of a youth myself, personally think that the new generation is very clever, active, more independent, and wanting to explore new things in their life, and they are more educated, more involved in things, and developed in using technology, and if they can easily find information. I think they are very clever. Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. Khanum, would you like to add anything on this?
Well, just as I mentioned that there are two differences. So when we see the youth, as parents, you can say, or the when we belong to a different generation, I can categorize them in two blocks. One is the majority, and they are like kind of the followers of the latest trends. They follow the people around them, they get influenced very easily, and they are more impulsive because of their physical needs as well, and because of the age group they belong to. And one is a minority group that doesn't belong to the majority, and that group is particularly the group which doesn't follow the trends blindly, or they just don't feel to be, fear to be missed out, like FOMO, the latest trend these days among the youth. So this kind of minority is the one who use logic and intellect while they are making choices about the life. They think, they ponder, and they make conscious choices while dealing their life decisions. So unfortunately, this is the minority group, but the majority, you can see, they have been influenced by the media, have been influenced by their peers, have been influenced by the cools and latest trends of the time.
All right. Thank you, Khanum. Tuba, my next question is from you. Uh, what is the reality of your lives? What is happening in your everyday life, and what are the challenges that you're facing in your life?
So, firstly, to begin with, the way that the youth see themselves and from their own perspective is they see themselves as more entitled and privileged, as they're more familiar with technology in this day and age. And so that brings about many challenges at home since they've sort of more modernized and they face communication and understanding issues with their parents that seem to always impose their morals on them.
Okay. Coming back to the parents, what are your aspirations and goals for the youth and your children? And what is your how do you see that?
When it comes to the goals, obviously every parent wants to see their children to be a successful person in the society. So, as a parent, if I would say personally want to see my child to be an independent person, be a successful, educated, active in the community, a person who can feel, she or he can make friends easily and be involved in the community events, in society events, and find job easily for herself or himself. So that would be my goal. But how I'm going to do it, I'm going to create an environment of, being safe, caring, loving, in the family and outside, and just be an encouraging parent for the child.
All right. Khanum, do you want to add something on this? Unmute, please.
Yeah, I would like to add that as far as the parents are concerned, when we talk about like dealing the youth, when we are going to discuss more, or you can say further, when we are going to talk about the strategies and the solutions, because this is more likely a solution oriented program. So just right now giving the brief description about the main concepts behind it. So more we would discuss when we would be talking about the strategies and solutions. But as far as the parents are concerned, while dealing the youth, I would say that they need to be open-minded, and they also need to be updated with the challenging demands of the time, and they need to have a learning attitude, because when parents are dealing with youth, nowadays time is rapidly changing, challenges are coming rapidly in their way. So when they want to deal with youth as parents, so they need to be more flexible, more open-minded, and they need to value their opinion, and they need to appreciate them as well.
All right. Thank you. Tuba, can you describe the characteristics of the older generation and the aims and the goals of your parents as you observe them?
So, description about our parents' generation is often associated in the youth's point of view as being as old age, not having as many technological advancements, and overall undesirable time to live in. But when we view it without bias, we seem to see that there's more importance on values. It's more family orientated and more social with their local community.
All right.
And the goals of our parents is, of course, to raise successful children, to raise the children with high morals.
All right. Let's talk about what needs to be accepted about the parents' generation. What are the deal breakers for you?
So both the parents and the youth need to understand that we have different styles of learning since we're all born in a different era. And some deal breakers and non negotiables are often we don't like to be scolded, we desire more logical reasoning and answers instead of you should do that because I told you to. And also, not comparing us with yourself. It often demeans us and puts us off from seeking your advice.
All right, thank you. Rahima, I would like to ask the same question from you. What can be accepted about the youth, and what are the deal breakers for you?
Yeah, I think I'm on mute, yeah. So I think we should understand the youth, as Tuba mentioned, as a parent, we should just, listen more and be respectful. As Khanum mentioned, so I think in nowadays, in today's society, we should think that we are living in a modern world and, using of technology, internet, nowadays, lots of parents may have this issue of, seeing their children being on internet. I think we should accept that internet plays a very important role in our children's life. They should, use internet. They should use technology, and we should trust them. And then we have to be open minded, as I mentioned. If they're gonna make any mistake, we should just let them feel that that's okay to make mistakes. We are here to guide you. We are here to support you, to encourage you. And then, as I mentioned earlier, be an active listener. Just make sure that we are there for them, understand their feelings, understand their needs. I think that's something that we should accept and we should understand more. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Shaima, are you you're here with us? Can you please add on to this? What can be accepted about the youth and your children, and what are the deal breakers for you?
Sorry, I had some trouble, yeah, and many times I was in and out, so I just joined. So about the, you want to know what is the differences between.
No,
Sorry,
I
can you
want to
repeat your
know.
question?
Yeah, what can be accepted about your children and the younger generation, and what do you think is a deal breaker for you?
Uh, yeah, I think there is lots of differences here between generations, and as we have to accept those differences and those, those gaps. So this is the way that we have to deal with that. So we have to be more open to them. And first, I think we should have a good and friendly relationship with them. Just keep their trust. They have to trust us, then be friendly with us, then they can yeah, like a friend, they can talk to us and can communicate with us. And then we have to reduce our expectation as well, because sometimes as a parents we have some expectation from the children that maybe they don't understand that, or they don't want to deal with that. So we have to, as a parents, we have to reduce our expectation from the children, and just accept them as they are. And as we be friendly with them, we can, in a friendly and nice manner, we can say some of our expectation to them and say, we want you to be this, and this is for your own safety and success in life. So we want you to follow these things.
All right,
So
thank you so much. Let's summarize what we've discussed, how each party views each other. I think both of the parents and the youth today we have are very cordial towards each other. It's important to discuss what needs to change in order to reduce this gap and in order to deal with the generation gap. Rahima, my question is to you. How do you think that this need this the change that how do you think that this change can uh, occur? How can you help that?
So, as Shema just mentioned, I think one of the major thing would be just the expectation and the understanding of the parents between parents and the children. So, if we reduce these expectations or not comparing our children with other children, I think that might be already a big change. Because if you keep telling your children that, oh, you're not good enough, for example, the other child is doing this much good and you're behind, so it makes them feel that, oh, okay, we are not good enough, and we are trying our best, but we can't just succeed the amount of our parents expectation. I think we should just reduce our expectation. We should just be friendly, as Shima said. We should just keep that trust between to create that change. If that's not going to happen, I think this change is not going to happen as well.
Okay. Tuba, what do you think about it? What do you think needs to change?
So, for a better collaboration between the youth and the older generations, we need to, as previously stated, accept our differences and understand each other. And we need to work towards, again, a friendlier relationship. And this, from the youth side, we need to stop demeaning and not giving the respect that our elders deserve. That's the first step that the youth can do. Stop referring them as colloquial language, often say, oh, my parents are old, they won't understand my issues, and stuff like that. So it begins from there.
All right, thank you. Tahira, how do you see the change happening?
So from the what aspect, Simline, I'd say that if parents were to take the
Yeah,
first
for
step,
parents.
yes. So for parents, the first step that they could take would be to start respecting the youth. It sounds really cliched, but it's actually really important. You give them respect. You actually employ active listening skills. You make time for them, which is quality time, which is uninterrupted. And in terms of what not to do, certain things to also consider would be not using statements like because I said so, because that has an element of or underlying theme of control, and it is demeaning, which tends to say, yeah, you don't have a brain of your own and I shall decide on your behalf. Do not take decisions which are in haste or in anger. That element of consultation should not be compromised. And lastly, another very demeaning thing which could be said, and it is often said in our culture, I feel, is what will become of you? And it comes from a place of genuine concern that parents have, but saying this statement is not helpful. It does not progress relations in any positive direction.
Khanum, would you like to add something on this?
Well, first of all, parents need to listen to the youth. They also have opinion. They also have a say. They also have a brain. So give them time as well, and especially in the decision making process. When you are making major decisions in your home, they should be part of it. So it will bring confidence in their personalities. And if there is a gap, then this gap is because you have brought up them in this way. So this is the gap because of your upbringing style. So if you need to change it, then you need to change your upbringing style as well. You need to change your parenting style as well. And this is the time of rapid adaptation. In each and every aspect, you need to adapt with the new challenges. Either it's related to your parenting style, either it's related to updating yourself with the new lifestyle trends or the technology aspect. You need to update yourself. If you see in the careers now, you have to adapt rapidly to secure your jobs even. So this adaptability is very important when you are dealing with youth. So if you are open minded, giving them chance, making them part of the decision making process, and adapting with the new trends, techniques, and the styles. very much relevant.
All right. Thank you, Khanum. Rahma, I would like to ask you, uh, please tell what needs to change for the youth and what needs to change in the world of youth. We've discussed that what needs to change for the parents, but what needs to change for the youth?
I think again it would be the same thing. When it comes to change, I think the understanding between youth and the parents is the most important thing. If they have that connection, and relationship and trust between, I think it's much easier. So they can communicate, they can understand each other better, they can trust each other, and I think then the change happens if there would be trust between, if there would be understanding. The change is going to happen for sure.
All right. Thank you. Tuba, please tell what are the mindsets that need to change for youth and your parents.
So the mindset that the youth need to change is to start admiring their parents for their judgment and insight, not taking their advice lightly, and not taking much pride in for the advancements of our age, and understand that the parents' love and concern that is sometimes usually unfiltered is for general love and care. It's genuine, and again, it's often regarded as a high morale, so we need to start adapting that into our lifestyle.
All right, thank you. Now that we've discussed what needs to be changed, let's throw some light on how that change can take place. What are the strategies that can help the parents understand the kids better, and what are the strategies that can help the kids understand their parents better? Tyra, can you please share some strategies?
Towards bridging the generation gap, it goes both ways. And I'd start off with, earlier, as I said, employing active listening skills. So whilst it's easier said, it's actually about paraphrasing and acknowledging what you just heard. So for example, if the youth or the child wants to stay out till late, as a parent, it would be really helpful to paraphrase what the youth has said, that, okay, I hear what you're saying is that you wish to stay out till late tonight on the weekend with your friends. Now, just making that statement itself does not mean I, as a parent, agree with what the child is saying, but it just gives that comfort. Of course, you've been heard, but here's what will happen, or my view about this is. What are your thoughts? So basically, that is about commencement of dialogue on an equal footing, because we started off with that premise that yes, there is respect, there's mutual respect, you have a mind of your own, you have views of your own, and here's what I think, let's come to a middle ground somewhere. So that's a negotiation of views rather than one way slapping it on them. No, here's my view, do it my way or the highway. The other aspect would be spending quality time. Now, it could be going out shopping with them. It could be going out and doing an activity that they enjoy. It could be planning a trip with them or a vacation and let them take the lead, or giving them a budget. Here's the budget. How about you come up with a plan or an itinerary for our next holiday, and let's see what you've got. And that would incorporate some more bonding into the relationship. It could be also about sharing your worries as a parent, and your thoughts that you have, making the child your confidant. So if you share your worries, you can actually seek their opinion. At my work, this is the problem I'm facing, or this is what's happening. What do you think? So a 15-year-old would actually come up with something in terms of their view from their world perspective, and that deepens the relationship that you have with the child. Yeah, in terms of the how, I would say perhaps these are some of the easier things to start deploying in your life.
All right, thank you. Khanum, we would love to get your feedback on this.
When we talk about bridging the gap, as I have mentioned, there is majorly two type of gaps. One is because of living in different eras, coming from the different time zones. This gap can only be filled when they adapt. Parents try to adapt with the new challenges. I have talked about it a lot. Now, the second part, the second difference, I want to emphasize that part now, that the differences in the morals, values, and beliefs. This part is very much important. And here, youth needs to work out. Here, youth needs to adapt new things in their life. They need to understand because there are certain rules, laws of the universe, and these laws of the universe, they don't change to whatever age, whatever time you are living in, whatever time you belong to. Talking about 5,000 years from now on, these laws are not going to change. What laws are these? Like the laws of self preservation, survival, not harming yourself. This is the main law. If you go and against this law, then you go into self destruction mode, self destruction phase. When parent is asking something for your survival, with the survival aspect, then this law comes in. If you align yourself with this law, then you are going to survive. Otherwise, you are going to destroy yourself. Like we have so much incidences now. Every now and then we watch in the news channel, read in the newspapers that youth are like, they have so much irresponsible behavior, taking selfies when at the dangerous points, taking selfies on the train tracks and getting killed with these incidents. The usage of drugs, it's been increasing day by day. So this is all the aspect where self-destruction mode is coming. So here the law of self-preservation comes in, and youth must adapt with this law. They must align with this law. They have to change. Otherwise, they would destroy themselves. So there are so many incidences here. So the responsibility of the parents here or the elders here, that they must communicate the importance of these laws, that they are not going to change. They want to survive, they want to grow, they want to be successful in the life, then they must go hand in hand with this law. So that's the harmony of the universe. If they go with this harmony, align with this harmony, they are going to survive. They are going to preserve themselves. Otherwise, they would go. They would be self-destroying themselves.
All right, thank you. Same question from the youth's perspective. How can children change, and what are the strategies for them to better understand and empathize with their parents? Tahira, we'll start with you.
Okay, so it's basically the flip side of what the parents need to do. It's not much different. And I'd start with mainly opening the lines of dialogue with the parents. So reaching out to them and asking them what is their worry, what are their problems, and what are their aspirations. I think we touched on that question earlier in the show. And it would be really, it's going to be a sort of a communion point when a child goes and talks to the parent. How can I help? What are some of the worries I can resolve for you? And also then adopting active listening skills again without interruption, letting the parents speak as well. So it works both ways. And then coming up with some strategies together that can actually help to build a better bond. So working together, okay, this is what I want and this is what you want, but what is that we can achieve together? Again, parents have some ideas as well. Perhaps it could be some religious views or some moral areas where parents have some aspirations. So try as best as you can as a child or as youth to fulfill those expectations as best as possible. So again, it is about being upfront and being clear in identifying those some key non-negotiable aspects where you tend to defer to your parents' views, respect their wishes. Again, and it goes down to how open your communication lines really are.
All right, thank you. Khanum, would you like to add something on this?
Yes, I would like to add that youth think at some point in their teenage years that parents are old and outdated. So they start devaluing the point of views and their opinions. They think that they know more and now they are old and outdated. So they need to bridge this gap here, that they must give importance and weightage to the experience parents have. This is invaluable experience. They have experience twice the lifespan you have spent just now, more than that even. So they must give importance and weightage to that experience, and they must listen to them as well. This is very crucial thing, because in youth now we have small concentration span, we have low listening capabilities, there are headphones all the time in their ear, so how they're going to listen to parents. So here again, parents need to adapt new techniques to communicate with kids. Not all the time they have to be there face to face, sitting in their own room. Now it's the time of technology, so they can WhatsApp them, communicate through Zoom, through other channels. So be in touch with them. And here, youth needs to have the patience of listening and giving importance to the invaluable, priceless experiences of the life of their parents.
All right, thank you very much. I think we had a great session and a very good discussion today. I would like to take your final thoughts on the topic, starting from Tuba.
So, a general thought is when there's a desire to respect and to bridge the gap, the generation gap, it will surely flourish. And whether it's from the parent side or from the youth side, we need to adapt different strategies to communicate our concerns and come to a common ground where there's inputs from both sides.
Thank you. Rahima, what are your final thoughts?
Yep, sorry, I was on mute. So, my final thoughts around the topic might be just again around the same thing as being respectful towards each other. As a parent, never feel that learning from your child would be a bad thing, because nowadays, the children, they do research, they do understand more, and we as a parent sometimes we don't have that information. So try to just be friendly with your child, have that quality time with your children, and be close to them, and just treat them as a young child, even though they are teenagers. And sometimes we as a parent feel that they are big enough, they're adult now, but you have to just give them hug sometimes, give them some time, spend some time together, be friendly, and talk to each other, understand each other, and just if there is any issue, again, support them, encourage them, and let them feel that you are there for them. Just do not make them scared, do not shout at them, because sometimes we as a parent, we are busy, and we don't have that time to spend with our children, and our children may understand and feel that, but sometimes they would share, sometimes not. So it's never bad to go to your child, learn from them, spend some time, and be friendly, be your friend, not like kind of just parent and child. Think as a friend, you are your friend of your children.
All right, thank you, Rahima. Shaima, would you like to give your final thoughts?
Yes, I think we should be friendly with our children and stop being bossy or controlling over them. And first, we have to establish a friendship and friendly manner with them, and find their trust to us, and have effective communication with them. And both parents and the children should bring down their expectations, so then listen to each others, and have time for each other to listen, and at least just try the things that they say, so then we can have better results for
All right,
parenting.
thank you. Thank you. Tahira, would you like to share some final thoughts?
So my final view on this would be that debate and discussion is extremely healthy, and it does not mean a disrespect if you are having a discussion. Also, logic and rationale would always trump emotional blackmailing tactics. So it's always more superior to employ methods of rationale-oriented discussions. And yes, befriending your child, and vice versa, having that open line of communication with parents would always pay off.
Thank you. Khanum, your final thoughts, please.
Yes, if I would like to summarize the whole episode today, so I would say in three words: communication, adaptability, and patience. So these are the three key words, and it is in two ways: either communication, it's two ways, either adaptability, two ways, either patience. So nowadays, the relationship of parents and their kids, it's not like it used to be in the previous ages, like the relationship of a boss or a subordinate, like they have to listen to them, they have to just follow the instructions. It is more like the parents need to be a friendly mentor. They must play this part in the lives of their kids, otherwise there would be a vacuum in their lives. And if they become friendly mentor, then it's very much easy to communicate their point of views, and it's going to bridge the gaps between two generations.
Thank you, Khanum. So we discussed the problems of the youth and of the parents, and we discussed in detail how what are the strategies that both of the parties can use in order to reduce the generation gap and help each other. And I see that both the parents and the children want to understand each other, they want to communicate with each other, and they want to respect each other. And I think that's very positive. With that, I would like to thank each of you and our audience for joining us today. We look forward to hosting more information sessions like this. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Office.